We've got a massive bombshell coming from the latest FBI whistleblower. We're going to see the latest. We're going to see how it's sending Washington into a panic. And make sure to stick me to the very end of this video when I'll reveal precisely what's going to happen as a result. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. It's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and insane and turbulent times. If you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we begin, gang, do not wait another day before clicking on that link below to watch what many are saying is one of the most inspirational movies they've ever seen. It's our very own The Return of the American Patriot, The Rise of Pennsylvania. If you want to see with your own eyes how this incredible renaissance of patriotism and the defeat of rhino globalists is happening right now in a state like Pennsylvania, this is your movie. This documentary serves as an example for patriots all over the world to stand up against tyranny, bring effective change in their communities and schools, all the while reinstating faith, family, and freedom at grassroots levels all across the nation. You don't want to miss this. Click on that link below or go to the Return of the AmericanPatriot.com. That's the Return of the AmericanPatriot.com to watch this movie while it's still available on demand. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. One of the amazing developments that we've been focusing on this channel of late is the emergence of a number of whistleblowers coming from within the FBI testifying under oath on the rampant corruption within its ranks. And we're not talking about, 2 or 3 or even a couple of handfuls of whistleblowers. We're now talking upwards of 20 whistleblowers from within the FBI, all coming out and testifying to witnessing the very same illicit things going on within that increasingly compromised organization. The latest bombshell was filed by FBI Special Agent Steve Friend. He filed a whistleblower complaint late Wednesday with the Department of Justice Inspector General, accusing the FBI field office of, in effect, cooking the books in order to exaggerate the threat of what they called domestic terrorism, using the J6 investigation as a pretext to harass conservatives and patriots in general. But it gets worse. Special Agent Friend revealed that the FBI was deliberately moving him and other agents off of child sexual abuse investigations precisely in order to punish the Democrats' political opponents. As part of this transition, they were explicitly told that, quote, child sexual abuse investigations were no longer a priority of the FBI. So Friend filed his complaint with his supervisor, and what did his supervisor do in response? Or the FBI in general? They suspended him. They stripped him of his gun, of his badge, and they escorted him out of the FBI building in Daytona Beach, Florida. Now, keep in mind, Friend is a 12-year veteran of the FBI with a stellar record. He's a member of the SWAT team, okay? But hey, obviously, if your job here is to keep us honest, then you need to find another job. There's no place for you here. Here's how the New York Post's Miranda Devine explained this extremely disturbing development to Tucker Carlson.
This FBI whistleblower, and spoken directly to him. She joins us tonight. Miranda, thanks so much for coming on. What did you learn?
Thanks, Tucker. Well, I learned that Stephen Friend, FBI special agent still serving, who was suspended on Monday, is an American hero. He had the dream job. He's been with the FBI for 12 years. He's a SWAT team member, but he just could not live with his conscience after he was dragged off these very important child porn, child exploitation, human trafficking investigations that he was working on, and put on these really bogus January 6 cases that just serve to, back up the rhetoric that we're hearing from the White House that domestic terrorism is the worst threat to America since the Civil War. And so he could see from on the ground how the FBI Washington field office was manipulating these cases to try and expand and pretend that the problem was bigger than it was. And he also didn't want to participate in SWAT raids on people who had just were being, accused of misdemeanors at worst, innocent American citizens. And, they were being told to investigate people who hadn't even gone to Washington, D.C. that day. In one case, a man had been at his son's funeral that day, yet he had FBI agents knocking on his door. People were being surveilled. This is just such an abuse of their civil rights. And Steve Friend stood up and said, I will not do this. He did everything the right way. He complained to his all his supervisors. He told them what FBI rules were being violated and what policies were not being followed and what constitutional rights of American citizens were being abused. And he was ignored. He was threatened. And he's now, this afternoon, filed a whistleblower complaint with the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz. And he's also been talking to Senator Chuck Grassley and some of the Republicans about his complaints. And he is there. You see his photograph online, 37-year-old man, father of 2 young children. It took a lot of courage to do this at great risk to himself and blowing up a career he loved.
Wow. Wow. God bless that man. God, seriously, God bless this man. Were the whole of the FBI to have such integrity and courage, this whole deep state apparatus and sanity would be over. It reminds me of something that the Soviet dissident Alexander Solzhenitsyn said in his Harvard address back in 1978. He said that what he was witnessing in the West was a crisis of courage among our governing elite. And keep in mind, this is over 40 years ago. He noticed back then, during the Carter years, he noticed that we as a nation were losing the moral fortitude to defend what is good and right. And remember, the ancient Greeks believed in 4 virtues: wisdom, moderation, justice, and courage. But they believed that of those 4, courage was the single most important, because without courage, you didn't have the fortitude to defend and preserve the other 3. So isn't it ironic that Steve Friend, this man of extraordinary courage, is it not ironic that the man who has precisely the kind of moral character we would want serving in the FBI is precisely the one they suspend? If that doesn't tell you the nature of the swamp, I don't know what will. But the good news is that he is not alone. These 20 whistleblowers are all about to blow the roof off the FBI. Congressman Jim Jordan was also on with Tucker. Here's his latest on the whistleblowers.
Congressman, we really appreciate your coming on and telling us about this.
Thank you. You bet.
So how do you assess what the whistleblower has told you?
Well, we think he's being straightforward. We think he's as honest. We think he's a brave guy for coming forward. And I think the way I view it in my mind is, Tucker, they're juicing the numbers and they're cooking the books. And they are so focused on this, they're willing to pull agents from child trafficking cases to foster this narrative that you talked about, that Joe Biden in front of Independence Hall with the red background, clenched fist, talking about half the country being extremists. So remember, we've had previous whistleblowers who came to us and said that they were being pressured to label cases as domestic violent extremism. This whistleblower came forward and talked to us about how they're cooking the books, making the numbers, seeing that there are cases all over the country, when in fact they're all related to January 6th. And now what's happened today, we learned that this newest whistleblower has been suspended from his job. So there's retaliation going against this guy for coming forward and telling us what's going on.
So the administration is doing this because there's really no one to push back. I mean, corporate America is completely on their side, the entertainment business, the media, and of course the entire Congress. If Democrats think they're going to win both houses, keep both houses, they just announced today, we're going to keep both houses.
Yeah, I don't
if that were to happen, well, I hope it doesn't, of course, but if it were to happen,
yeah,
it feels like they would double down and start putting a lot of people in jail.
No, that's why this election in 50 days, Tucker, is so darn important. The way you send a message is put Republicans in charge, and then what we have to do is get tough. We got to be committed to getting the truth to the American people. We got to be committed to any and every remedy we can come up. Nothing should be off the table when it comes to reining in a political justice department, which everyone knows is now the case. I mean, think about the last 6 weeks. Joe Biden raided the home of a former president, took the phone of a sitting member of Congress. The inspector general at the Justice Department assisted in imaging the phone. He's supposed to be the independent oversight of the Justice Department. And, oh, by the way, he also signed legislation which is going to unleash 87,000 IRS agents to come harass we, the taxpayer. That happened in 6 weeks, for goodness sake. So, yeah, this election is critical when it comes to America's freedoms, liberties, and the Bill of Rights.
So there you have it. I mean, a very clear summary of the way J6 has been exploited by the permanent political class as a generalized stigma used to justify a massive crackdown on the populist uprising that's happening all across the nation. That's precisely what is going on here. It's not about Trump per se. It's not even about the MAGA movement. When all is said and done, this is about a permanent political class's attempt at crushing an uprising, a mass popular uprising against its rule. And you know what? It's not just here. We're seeing the exact same thing going on in Europe as well, though it's done more at multinational levels. The EU has been relentless in their persecution of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who without question is the single most successful and effective nationalist populist in all of Europe. The EU has been harassing Orban incessantly for years now. He's serving his fourth straight term. He's won 4 landslide victories back to back, and the bullies in Brussels have been relentless in their pursuit of him. They're doing the same thing to Matteo Salvini of Italy, precisely what they've been doing to Trump, right? Salvini's actually on trial for kidnapping, for heaven's sakes, because as deputy prime minister, he refused to allow a boat full of illegal migrants to dock at an Italian port. I mean, it's the exact same crap they're trying to pull on DeSantis. And we all know what's really going on here. We all know. But before I forget, my friend Michael Lush, along with his amazing staff at Replacer University, are showing patriots like you how you can build your own personal parallel economy so you can do more of what you love, like fighting for freedom without worrying about your financial future. Michael will even show you how you can pay off your mortgage in 5 to 7 years. He's absolutely amazing. Just click on that link below to book a consultation with Michael. It's absolutely free. You're going to love it. All right, so when all is said and done, this is nothing less than the weaponization of the law, meaning it's the asymmetrical application of legal norms. So if you're on the one side, of the political aisle, the side of the permanent political class that serves as the supposed expert, managerial engineers of the liberal globalist system. If you're on that side, then you're exonerated from all wrongdoing. You can march through sovereign borders unimpeded. You can burn down cities. You can illegally store classified material on your laptop. You can engage in all kinds of illicit business deals with your hooker-obsessed crackhead kid. No worries. No problem. We'll cover it all up for you. Nothing's going to happen to you. But if you so much as stand up for faith, family, and freedom, if you call out the corruption of the permanent political class, if you demand accountability of our liberal leaders, just that, then they will do everything they can to destroy you. That's the world of liberal globalism that we're entrapped in at this point. The good news, like with the dissidents in the Eastern Europe Soviet world, like Solzhenitsyn himself, the wonderful news is that the more they crack down on us, the bigger the resistance becomes. And therefore, ultimately, there's no winning this. They are going down. The only question is how much of a mess will they make of things until then. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button, and you will definitely want to check out my latest video, speaking of Solzhenitsyn again, of Jordan Peterson leaving Piers Morgan absolutely speechless on Vladimir Putin. Very, very interesting discussion. We analyze it and react to it. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.